Hey gifted crafters, welcome back for another Saturday CrafterNoon. I see a lot of people chatting away on the chat, and yes, we did give you a little bit of a break on the trivia this time, and it looks like you guys did pretty well, so I'm glad that everyone is learning as we go, and some of these questions we will kind of try to rehash just to make sure you guys got the correct answer this time. So I'm happy that you guys all enjoyed the trivia. Now, if you are tuning in for the first time, my name is Nancy with GiftsHQ, and I host these weekly live sessions to talk about all kinds of crafting things. We kind of range from knitting, crocheting, embroidery, sewing, decoupage, and just so much more. There's so many crafts out there, and we like to dabble on a little bit of everything. And this just is a platform where we kind of exchange tips, tricks, ideas. So if you are a maybe seller that's out there, maybe you have an Etsy shop or Shopify, or maybe you have an upcoming craft fair, or maybe you're just looking for a quick little gift. This is the perfect platform where we share all kinds of tips, tricks, and ideas. So feel free to jump into the chat, say hello to some friends, and mingle around, because we're going to have a fun hour today, and I hope you enjoy it. So let's jump into the chat. Let's say hello to a few people I see out there. I see Amy, I see Annette, Crafting with Robin, Donna Phillips, Jackie, Jenny, Judy, 1 Minute Tips, Robin's Quilt Basket, Sassy, the Crafty Puerto Rican. Alrighty. Thank you guys all for tuning in, and if I missed you, I'm sorry. I'm kind of just going through it. The chat's kind of going through from all of the trivia questions. So thank you all for tuning in, and we had a little bit of a hectic week today, this week. So my mom was in the hospital. She had a little procedure done. She got a clip placed in her heart valve, which helps her breathe a little better, and she's doing fantastic. She is home resting, and we're all good again. But it was, pretty chaotic when, you're kind of having to deal with someone in the hospital and you're working and you have kids, and you guys know what I mean. So it's just craziness out there, and, I've been dealing with it all, but we're good now. We've got it under control. But I didn't get a chance to really get into my craft room very much, but I did do some research on some other things. So we will definitely have a lot of things to talk about this hour. And I see on the chat, it looks like Robin's Quilt Basket is not feeling very well. Sorry about that, Robin. I hope you do feel better. Donna says, love seeing the birds on the color green trivia question. I was wondering about them. Yes, Donna, they are thriving and doing very well. Very active. We've got 4. Well, actually, we've gotten, I should say, 2 now, because the other ones weren't flying just yet. We still got 2 more that are in the coconut, and they haven't quite taken their flight yet. They are fully feathered. They have a very, very short tail, so they're just going to be just any day now where they're going to start flying and joining the rest of the flock. So they are thriving and doing very well. Thank you for asking. Alrighty. Let's see. Oh, Donna says, I ordered kits from the Tapestry Project to make a couple of temperature tapestries. Nice. 1900 and 2020. From the Quincy, Louisiana area. Awesome, Donna. That's great. I'd love to see how that comes out. I just have so many things going on. I haven't had a chance to kind of circle back to that. But we're going to talk about a couple things that, I think will be very useful for any project that you guys do. Alrighty. So, last week we talked about the pineapple trim tool. And I showed you guys a little sample of what we did, right? And it was a lot of fun. And I did finish the second one that we were kind of doing together. And this is how it came out. So not bad. I'm probably going to change this. Like, this was kind of just me playing around. I like the way it came out, but I think that the pattern or that second fabric that I picked is just a little bit too busy. And I'm kind of envisioning this with a really dark fabric, like a black fabric with maybe like a red, kind of Christmassy type like, but I think that would really make it pop, and it has to be like a really striking color. So I will kind of continue playing around with these until I get a block that I'm really happy with the color fabric choices that I make. And then once I have all my blocks ready, I will probably do a table runner or something like that. But I hope you guys enjoyed those steps that we did, and I hope you really like that ruler, because it is really a lot of fun. We also launched our CD a couple of weeks ago. If you haven't tuned in for that, we do have a CD out there. It's called Crafting Times. A lot of fun on this. We've worked on some music and some stuff that you can kind of just listen to while you're crafting. And I hope you guys really enjoyed it. And maybe you have maybe a favorite song or two. Let us know which one it is, because we'd like to have, we'd like to know and get some feedback on some of this. So if you get a chance, please give us some feedback on the CD, because we worked pretty hard on that, and I was hoping that everyone really enjoys it. So, okay. Now, and the CD is available on Amazon Digital. You can get a download, or you can hear it on Spotify or iTunes as well. Alrighty, so let me just see if there's anything else. Now, I do have to run through my holidays, of course, because today's a pretty good one. It's Autism Supermom Day, so woohoo! To all the Autism Supermoms that are out there. This is a pretty special day. We know you guys worked really hard and taking care of our kids out there. So, to all the super moms with kids with autism, this one's for you. It is also Independent Bookstore Day. So go ahead and go out there and, support your local bookstores that are out there. It is International Sculpture Day. So if you're into sculpting, you can do something like that. And it is National Tell a Story Day, which is a fun one, and you can do with your grandkids or kids out there. Just spend a few minutes, tell a story, and get that bonding time in, because I think that's pretty important. Okay. I see a lot of people on the chat talking about the CD. They can't pick a favorite. A 1 minute tip says, I can't believe I won the CD. Thank you for sending. Oh, you're welcome, 1 minute tips. I hope you really enjoy it. Yeah, we had a couple of winners out there, and they have all received their CDs, so I hope they're just enjoying it now. Okay, so we've gone through our holidays, and now this week I want to share with you something that we did receive. I got a little fan mail. So this is a lot of fun, and I want to thank one of our subscribers, Judy, sending this over. I really appreciate that. She did a little card, and I just wanted to share with you how beautiful this card is. It's a handmade card. It says congratulations on it, and really, really beautiful. Added a lot of, different, I don't know if you can see that here, like little beads with the little color on it. Like, really makes it pop. Super, super cute. And then you open it up, and she's got another one inside here. Really, really nice. She just sent me a little congratulations card on us launching our CD. So I want to thank Judy. Thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate this. This was super sweet and really a lot of fun to receive. So thank you again. I really love getting fan mail, friend mail. I love it. I think it's a lot of fun. And, who doesn't like to receive something in the mail that's not a bill? So thank you again so much. I truly appreciate it. And I love that everyone's out there crafting and getting things done. You can make these for your loved ones, for birthdays. Don't go out and buy a card. Spend some time to just make them, because I really think that that's just something special, and it says something, not only to the person receiving it, but just even for yourself. This is really, really nice, and it's beautiful that someone took the time to make this, and, just being creative in that way and putting this together. I love it. I really, really love it. So thank you again. I really, really appreciate it. Okay. Now, I want to talk about something that is kind of like having to have a real conversation about us crafters, because we all do it. We maybe are a little bit of a hoarder, I guess. But one of the things that I really can't live without in my craft room are my rulers. So I wanted to kind of dig into a little bit of a conversation about rulers. We want to talk about what are the basic rulers that you need when you first start crafting. I also want to take a look at how you select the right ruler for the project that you are making. Because there's all kinds of different types of rulers and templates that are out there. So we really want to have that conversation. And I also want to talk about how you can make a ruler into a non-slip ruler, because I think that's one of the things that everyone struggles with, is the rulers are slipping on them. And there are some products out there, and there's some little gadgets and little hacks and things that you can do to help you. And some of them, you know, they're really not expensive at all. And some stuff is probably some stuff that you already have in your home. So it's a topic that, you know, I do have a lot of rulers. As you can tell, I've got my little stand back here, and I've got a ton of rulers on this stand, and I've got some more, and I've got some templates. And maybe it was a bit much. Maybe there were some rulers that I could have done without, but they're a lot of fun. And I think that, you know, I just think that you have to know, as long as you're using them, you have to know how to use them, when to use them, and how to get the best bang out of your buck. So let's see. Oh, Donna has a tip. She says, I started scanning in my cards that I receive. I save them to the photo files under the current year and the person who sent the card. Oh, that's nice. That's a good tip, Donna. Scanning your cards. Well, I just may do that if I can get enough friend mail. I just might do that. That would make like kind of like a nice little album, right, of your journey. That's a great idea, Donna. I like that idea. I just may steal that from you and create my own little album. I would really love to do that. Thank you, Donna, for sharing that. Nice. She says, I scanned the card graphics and the written message and signatures. Oh, it's a great way to look back at graduation cards, birthday greetings, wedding invites, etc. That's really a great idea. I do like that, because it's, you know, people had, back in the day, it was photo albums, because we actually had a physical photos that you would have to get developed. And we had photo albums. We don't even have those anymore. We have digital albums out there, right? So this is actually a great way to keep them and keep them preserved. And you can do it on physical on the album itself, or you can scan it like Donna's saying. So that's a great idea. Thanks a lot. Okay, Amy says, Temu has become my go-to for rulers and templates. I swear that some of them are OmniGrid. A look-alike OmniGrid, but aren't as heavy. But my 12x12 and my 6x12 are heavy acrylic. Yes, and we're going to talk about that, Amy, because, you know, there are so many different places where you can get rulers, and some of them are really pricey. But I want to talk about, when is it really worth it to spend that money? When is it not? I mean, we're going to talk about all kinds of things. So I'm going to kind of just lay this little tablecloth out that I have, just so you don't see all this glare when we're talking about rulers. And it's just going to make it a little bit easier. Let's see. Just going to kind of lay it a little bit here. Not in any order particular. I just want to eliminate the glare so that you can actually see what I'm talking about here. Let me see if I flip it this way. It'll be easier. Okay. All right. So And apologize. This is like a little tablecloth that I bought. It's one of my little mini project that I'm doing for someone. So I just thought I'd use it for now. All right. So let's talk about rulers. Okay. Let's look at the basics. So we're going to talk about just the basic types of rulers that someone who's just starting off should have. And I can tell you my very first ruler, I'll bring it out here, has got to be these two rulers. Okay, and this is, one is from OmniGrid and the other is Fiskars. Now, brand names, there's all kinds of brand names. There's OmniGuard, there's Fiskars, there's Creative Grids, and there's on and on and on and on, all kinds of rulers. But really, you have to kind of look at the different ones. And when you buy a ruler, most people don't really look at the ruler. They just kind of like, you know, okay, this is a ruler, this is the size I need, and they grab it and go. They don't realize that the ruler actually has a ton of different things that you can do with it. And so you should really try, when you're shopping for the rulers and you're looking at the different brands, really shop to see what type of features each ruler has. Because depending on what you're into, if you're into quilting, or maybe you are a clothing maker, you know, you may want certain features that one ruler has and another one doesn't. So you want to kind of take a look at those. Now, I would have to say, if you're just starting off into the crafting world, one of the must basic rulers I think you should have is a ruler that is long enough. Right? So you're going to want your long ruler. And this one measures 24 inches long. So pretty long, but this is kind of help you cutting your fabric and kind of just starting it off when you get your fabrics off the bulk. Once you got them home, you're going to start to cut them down and then eventually subcut them. One long ruler that is really going to help you to get that done. And that's something that every person is going to need. So I would suggest that you at least have one ruler that is pretty long. This one is 24 inches. And I think this will help you to get your first cuts going. And it's really, one of the basic ones that someone will need. And actually, this is one of my first rulers that I purchased. This brand name is Fiskars. And I believe this one was just like at Walmart. And sometimes they come in a set. So sometimes you can get the ruler with the cutting mat and a rotary cutter. And sometimes, they're not in a set. So it really depends. You got to kind of shop around, see what they have. Try to see when they have sales on rulers, because I know Joanne has them all the time. But you want to be able to look at the ruler itself to see what it's offering. This particular ruler, although I did buy it because it is a long ruler, it also has, I can kind of get this towards the end, all of the angles that you can get. So you've got your 45-degree angle, you have a 30-degree angle, and a 60-degree angle. And it has it on both sides. So that's one of the great things. If you wanted to line this up to do a angled cut, you can, and the ruler offers that to you. Right? Not every ruler will have those angled cuts. So you always, when you're looking at rulers, that's something that you use. You want to make sure that you see those angled lines on here going across. One of the other things that you'll want to check is looking at the grid itself. Sometimes the ruler grids make it a little bit difficult for you to be able to see. So let me just grab my little stiletto stick here. So you could see in this particular ruler, you have your solid lines going all the way up. And then you have lines with little dashes. That makes it a little bit easier for you to physically see your lines and what you're lining up to. And sometimes rulers will just have solid lines going across, or dotted lines, or maybe just dots, and it makes it a little bit difficult for you to be able to see the fabric and where you're cutting. So you want to look at the design itself of the ruler and how they place this. Make sure that your eyes are going to be able to read them and be able to see where it is you are measuring from. Okay, let me just check. I think I had another tip for you. Okay, strips. So sometimes you're cutting long strips, and so you may need this long ruler to do that. You have to kind of think about the ruler itself and what you're going to be doing with it. If you're going to be cutting really long, maybe this is going to be 6-inch strips or 5-inch strips, then this ruler would be great because you can put the fabric underneath that will secure it in place, allow you to then make that cut. But you also want to make sure that your hands are in the right position. Now, you don't want to have your hand closed and just in one place. That's not really going to help you because the ruler can still slide as you are making your cut. You want to keep your fingers open, and you would want to have at least one finger off of the ruler holding on to the actual fabric, and then you want to have your hands on the ruler itself nice and open, so you have a nice open space that you are holding the ruler down. Now, if you are using these long rulers, you don't want to just keep your hand in one place and make the entire cut. You want to be able to walk your hand down as you are making these cuts. That will allow the ruler to stay in place and will eliminate it from slipping as much. So if I'm going to, let's say, cut this piece of fabric, I would start on one end and then do my cut, pause, walk my ruler. I wouldn't even lift up my hand. I would just walk my hand on the ruler, position, and then cut again, and then walk again, and then cut again, and continue to do that. That has less of a chance of this ruler slipping around from underneath me. So try to walk your hand up the ruler as you could. The other ruler that I have is kind of a long ruler, not as long, but it is a little skinnier. And this one is only 3 inches going across, right? So it is still kind of considered a long ruler because it does give me all the way up to 18 inches, but it is a skinnier ruler, so it makes it a little bit easier for me to handle. So sometimes I may have that long piece of fabric that I want to cut, but maybe a skinnier ruler will help me a little bit more. So that's when maybe I would use this one. So this one would be OmniGuard. Again, looking at the ruler itself and the design, I do have my angles down on the bottom on both sides so that I can line up the ruler however I want it. Let's say I want it to cut at a 45-degree angle. I would line up my fabric. Let's say that this paper was my fabric that I was cutting. I would line it up on that 45-degree angle and then go ahead and make the cut. Okay? So these are 2 of the types. This one is OmniGuard. I can't say that I do use both of these rulers a lot. I'd have to say if I were to have to pick which one I used more, I would say it'd be the Fiskars, which is the longer one, when I am going off and doing my cuts off the bolt. So far, those are the 2 that we have. Then you have other types of rulers. Now, kind of go back here. Again, this one is by OmniGuard, but this one, as you can see here, this is a pretty large ruler. And some people make the mistake of buying this ruler but yet they are not quilting, or they are not, you know, they may buy this as their first ruler, and I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend this ruler if maybe you are quilting. This type of ruler is really good basically to square off your block, right? So this one measures 12.5 by 12.5. It is by OmniGuard, and it does have an angled cut here, which is nice. It also has the grid itself, which I really like the way they kind of lay it out. They have here, if you can see, it's kind of really difficult to show you at this angle, but they do have little dashes that kind of give you the guideline for a square, which is really nice. If you have that smaller 6-inch square, you can kind of just go right here and you can see where the angled cuts are, which allow you to kind of line your fabric up to make that perfect cut. So I do like that it has that option as well. I love that they have the little dash lines. OmniGuard really does a good job in terms of you being able to see where you are with their dash lines and their dots that they have on the rulers themselves. So it's really nice that I'm able to see where I am at any point in time to be able to make that perfect cut. But this is not a ruler that I would recommend someone to have when they are first starting off. Okay, now let's talk about some of the other ones here. I'm gonna stick this over to the side. I've got another one here. Now this one, I have to say, is one of the ones that I probably use a lot. This one measures 12 inches by 6 inches. And what I like about this ruler, as you can see, you've got all your angles here. It is a nice size. And what I use this ruler for is to do my subcuts. So this is a great ruler for subcutting. Once you've used your long ruler to go ahead and make those long cuts, then I would use my shorter ruler to be able to subcut it from there. Makes it a little bit easier for me to be able to do my cutting and subcut as I go. Let's see. Any questions? If you guys have any questions, go ahead and type it in the chat as I go. I'm kind of trying to glance every now and then. Now, for this, I also have one of the rulers that I kind of got really to support. I love supporting our fellow YouTubers out there. This ruler is by Crafty Gemini. So if you haven't checked out her channel, she does amazing videos. She is a fantastic teacher for all kinds of bags and wallets and all kinds of things sewing wise. So she has a ruler that she designed herself, and this one is a 5-inch by 10-inch ruler. And I really like the design and the way she kind of explains, and you can see some of the videos she has out there. She kind of explains the ruler and how to use it and how she designed it and what she felt was important in a ruler. So I do use this one as well, but I also do, since I am left-handed, and this can be a really big challenge for people out there. If they are not right-handed and you're left-handed, sometimes you kind of feel like things are just not designed for you and have to do things a little bit backwards. One of the things that you do is you use the 2 ruler method, right? You can go ahead and measure it and then bump up the ruler that you are going to use, right? So you're going to have this ruler here. You're going to measure your fabric, have the ruler in place, but I'm not right-handed. So what I would do is take another ruler, bump it right up against this ruler, and then I would take this ruler away and make the cut. So, you know, however you do it, you know, you could use 2 rulers to help you to be able to make the cuts, whether you're right-handed or left-handed. And sometimes it's just in an awkward position, but you can always grab 2 rulers that are almost the same size and bump them up each other against each other to make that subcut. So that's another idea that you can have. But, you know, I just really loved her channel and I wanted to support her. So I've got the ruler that she uses as well. And I think she's a fantastic teacher. Okay, we've got some other ones here. These are some specialty type rulers that you've probably seen out there. And I know that some of you guys are looking at Temu. And some of these you can find out there, but you can also find them in Hobby Lobby. Now, I can't remember, it was maybe about a year or so ago, but I think they have them like every year or so. Hobby Lobby likes to kind of clear their inventory a little bit. And so they had in their section of sewing, all of the rulers and rotary cutters were like at ridiculous low prices. So I did happen to snag quite a few. And let me see, I do have some of them here that I can show you. Like, for example, on the specialty rulers, I've got a circle cut ruler. And I even wrote the price down here because I couldn't believe, you know, how good of a price this was. I got it for $3.74. And so it's really nice. Let me just kind of move this over here. It's really nice how you can see the cuts coming through here. Now, I don't use this ruler very often, so I do try to just kind of put the little directions that they have. Sometimes they have little directions that come with the ruler, and I try to keep it together. So I do have that here, but I did write that I got it for $3.74 at Hobby Lobby. And this was a while ago, but it's a nice ruler where you can make little circles. I know circles can be a big challenge. And sometimes, you know, you're just drawing the circles on your fabric, or maybe you're just trying to follow something and you just can't get that circle to come out great. This is a great way to do that, and it has multiple options on here to make that circle perfect. So again, specialty ruler, not something that I would start you off with is if you are brand new. These are just rulers that I have been able to get over time. So yeah, it's just something that, you know, it's nice to have, but it's not something that you need to have when you first start out. So let's take a look here, because I do have some other ones. We've got the Omni Grid ruler, and this one's a little bit different, and I'll have to kind of show you here. This one I got on sale for $3.24, and it is Omni Grid. But I can tell you I got two of them because they were, you know, pretty well priced, so I wanted to take advantage of that. So I did get that, and I guess you could call me a little bit of a ruler hog, right? But it's something that I think, you know, I use all the time, so for me it was worth doing. So I'm trying to put this in a place where it's just not in the way. Let's get these out here. There we go. So I find that, you know, these rulers here, they're 6.5 inch. I also have one at 6 inches. And I think that those are really nice too, especially when I'm doing the smaller projects or when I'm fussy cutting as well, because I'm able to kind of establish where it needs to be. Now, this ruler, OmniGuard, is a little bit different because it does have a kind of a grid within a grid, right? So this one has this tiny section here, which is a 3 inch by 3 inch square. And you can see how the grid is a little bit different from the rest on here, because it does give you more of a solid line, but it does it on 1/8 of an inch rather than just the 1/4 inches that you see on the normal rulers. And that's one of the things that a lot of people get a little confused with when they're looking at rulers. You know, how do we do the measurements? You know, it can be a little intimidating when you first start out. right? We always start at 0, right? The bottom edge of the ruler. You move up, you get to 1/8 of an inch, then to the 1/4 inch, then you have your 1/2 inch, you have your 3/4 of an inch, your 7/8 of an inch, and then you get to the full inch. And a lot of people really kind of forget, like, where is a 7/8 of an inch? And it sometimes can be a little confusing when you're looking at a pattern and you're not quite sure, because the rulers that are out there, they really focus on the 0, the 1/2 inch, the inch, and then they will focus on just the 1/4 inch and the 3/4 of an inch. And that's mostly because these are probably the most popular sizes that you would need to make your cuts from, right? The 1/4 inch seam, that's pretty much like a standard for quilting. You know, you always hear 1/4 inch seam allowance when you are quilting something, and sometimes you may hear a scant 1/4 inch seam. So knowing the measurements, I know you would think that's kind of basic, but you know, if you haven't, you know, remembered that from like elementary school way back in the day, you know, it could be a little intimidating. So, you know, you have your little measurements here, which is always good to have, and just kind of know that, because that really sometimes is not something that you see right off the bat when you're looking at your rulers. So I wanted to just kind of point that out. But it's not just rulers, guys. We have, again, these specialty rulers, and we have things that we buy to make our lives just a little bit easier. And one of the things that you can get are these rulers that have these slits on them. So you can see these here, they have slits going down, and you can get rulers that have different slits. If you're doing a lot of strips that you're cutting, you know, you could probably benefit from one of these rulers. But these really are pretty pricey out there. There is a company called Stripology. They have a ton of rulers out there. They are quite pricey, but they are pretty good rulers too. So if it's worth the investment, if that's something that you do a lot of, then I would recommend to go ahead and purchase those. But if it's something that you don't do too often, you can go to Temu and get some of the rulers from there. They're not going to be the best quality that you're going to have, but they'll be enough to get the job done. So this ruler itself I did get from Temu, and you can see here I've got the inches, I've got the slits, and I've also got the angled cuts here as well. So this is a nice little ruler that I can use to cut my strips. Now every strip here is every 1/2 inch. So I've got a strip for every 1/2 inch. So if I were to put a piece of fabric underneath here, I can just put the ruler down, line it up the way I want, and I can just cut a bunch of 1/2 inch strips without ever having to move the ruler, which is really nice because it allows you to then keep your fabric in place, and you are definitely going to get a really nice cut of 1/2 inch increments for the strips that you are making. It really kind of cuts down you not hitting that 1/2 inch mark when you're cutting those strips. So it's nice that you can put that down and make your strip cuts. Then you've got, again, other types of rulers, and this is my 1/2 square or 1/4 square triangles ruler, and you can see this one. It's nice to make all kinds of projects out here. This is another one that you can pick up, probably Hobby Lobby or Temu. I really can't remember exactly where I got this one. I want to lean towards Hobby Lobby. But these are the types of rulers. Again, this one has some strips in here, some slips that you can use with your rotary cutter to get those increments in place, and it'll hold the ruler down and let you make the cuts. So if you're looking to get that 1/2 square triangle, you know, that perfect little block of 1/4 square triangles, this is a nice ruler for that as well. So they have specialty rulers for specific projects that you're making. So if you're one that maybe struggle with the cutting, and maybe you have the basic rulers that we talked about, but your blocks are still not coming out right, then you may want to look into getting something like this, which would be that specialty ruler that would really help you then to get the project done. So look at the ruler, look at the project that you're making, and decide which one is the best for you, because not all rulers are equal. And just because you may have gotten it from Temu or Hobby Lobby and it's not some fancy special ruler, you know, sometimes just the simple rulers will do the job. You just have to look at the type of project that you're doing, exactly what it is that you're trying to accomplish, and look at your skill set level. You know, decide whether just a simple ruler that you can pick up, if that's going to do the trick, go for it. If you need a little bit of more help, you know, then look at some specialty rulers and see what would help you to get that perfect block or that perfect cut that you're looking for. So those are just a couple of ones. Now there are other types of rulers, right? So maybe you're not into quilting, you know, maybe what you are really into is doing clothing. Then there's other types of styling designer rulers that you can get. Now I did get this one, I think it was from Joann's, and this is by the company called Dritz. You can see it here. And this is a type of ruler that you would use if, let's say, you're trying to follow a pattern and you're into clothing making, or you're trying to design your own. This is something that you can use. And what I liked about this one, it was one of the very long ones. So it's allowing me to make that long cut. It's got that flat cut here on the side, but it also lets me get things through the curve. So this is like the hip curve. You have the armholes. You have the different parts of the pattern that you're making for the clothing. And this ruler really helps when you're trying to follow that pattern and keep your rotary cutter on track for the specific size that you are cutting for on the pattern itself. Now, this one did come with a little booklet, and it has all kinds of information on how to use it and what to use each side for. It has slits here for you to be able to use and to line up with. And, you know, it just makes things a lot easy when you are doing something like clothing. Now, of course, I did talk about one of my favorite YouTubers, Crafty Gemini, and she did come up with a smaller ruler. She's got some courses out there as well. So I really like her ruler because it's so short and little, so it makes it a little bit easier for me to handle. But I kind of use both rulers. When it's a longer cut, I feel like I can use the Dritz ruler because it does help me reach a little bit better and I don't have to move the ruler around as much. But when you have the smaller areas that you're trying to get to, I liked her ruler as well. Has the kind of the same type of thing. It has the curves and it's got the flat surface as well. So really nice. I love it. You know, tons of options out there. You just have to pick what's right for you. Then we have some of these other rulers. And again, this can be kind of like a specialty ruler. So if you are into paper piecing, we have the at a quarter plus ruler. There's at a quarter, at an inch, at a half inch. There's so many different ones. This one's probably one of the most popular ones. And I did get the pack that came with two. So this is the at a quarter plus. It does come with this one that only measures 12 inches, and then this one measures 6. But what I really love about this ruler is it does have a slit underneath. So if I am doing paper piecing, you know, you always have to add a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So when you are doing that, you can line this up, and because it has that little 1/4 inch slit down here, I can line up my fabric and bump it right up against it and not even have to look to see if that's a 1/4 inch. I know if I bump it up against the fabric, I can cut it and I will always have a perfect 1/4 inch seam allowance on my cuts, which is really, really nice. So this is something, if you're into paper piecing, you may know about it. If you don't, this is something that will be really helpful if you're doing that type of project. And this, I believe you can get this off of Amazon out there. It's really, really nice, and it makes things so much easier. Now, one of the issues that I know people have when they are trying to do things with their rulers is that the ruler slips on them. And so they may be cutting, and sometimes right when you get towards the very end, it kind of moves, and so you slip. And so this happens to all of us out there. And there's a few things that are out there I just want to make sure you guys know about that you can use to help keep the ruler steady so that it doesn't slip around on you. And one of the first things that you can get, and there's all kinds of different ones, they've got the little handles that you can do. I have like a little mini one, and it's just like a little suction cup that you can put down on here, and then you just kind of snap it into place, and then you can move your ruler and it kind of just holds it into place, right? They have the bigger handles. I just like the small one. That's fine for me, but they do have the bigger ones if you have issues with your hands and you wanted to kind of lay your hand down flat. That is out there as well. And these are pretty helpful because it does allow you to kind of hold it down. If you can't keep your hand spread out holding the ruler down, then you can do it this way as well. But it does still have the ability to slip slightly if you're not putting that pressure down. So make sure that when you put it on your ruler, you know, depending how long your cut is, you want to make sure that you kind of put it in a place where you will be able to have it benefit you the most. So, you know, you don't want to place it on the end and then just start cutting down here, right? You want to be able to either stick it in the middle or kind of move it around as you go if you need to. But this is something that does help to keep the ruler in place. So I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that. They are out there. You can find them in your local craft store. You can even pick it up in Amazon. Another item that I found that's out there as well is something called Invisigrip. And Invisigrip is just basically this little roll. And it just has really clear, it's like a clear plasticky that you can put on the back of your ruler. Now this one does have it. I've already applied it, and I'll try to pick it up here a little bit. You can see that here. Kind of really hard to see. It is very thin little film that you can apply. Once you take it off the roll, just measure what you need. Put it on the back of your ruler. This will give you a little bit of resistance to help hold the ruler in place. And I did try it out with this sized ruler, and it does work. It did kind of prevent it from slipping on the cutter, on the mat itself, which really helped me a lot in terms of not, you know, having it slip around. So this is another option that you have. Now, it can be a little bit of an expensive option because you would have to get a bunch of rolls. I mean, depending on how many rulers you have, and you can see here, I have quite a few. So this would kind of be an expensive way for me to go to be able to do this to all of my rulers. So I'm not sure if I would do this for every ruler that I have. Just a few of them, and this was one of the rulers that I decided to go with since I do use this a lot for subcutting, and that one seemed to work pretty well. So definitely, you know, this is one product. I would recommend this, but I would, you know, if you have a lot of rulers, just know that this is going to be probably a little pricey. They do sell it in Joann's. I believe I've seen it in Hobby Lobby as well, and I'm pretty sure Amazon has it out there as well. But it is nice that you can kind of just put this behind your ruler and it doesn't, you know, slip around on you. It really does help, and it does not kind of take away your ability to see through. As you can see here, you can see my hand completely underneath it. It does have the film on here, and you know, you can easily take it off when you want to kind of change it up. I know after time it will lose a little bit of its grip, and so you would have to just peel it off and put a new one in. I haven't had to do that yet, and it's been a few months since I've put it in, and as you know, I use my rulers a lot. So far it's been holding up and it's been doing pretty well. Another thing that you can do, and this is something you can also find in Temu, you can find it in Amazon. You have these non-stick adhesive rings, and I do have that in some of my rulers as well. I just have to find which one it is. Let me grab this one here. And these little rings are really nice and really hold this ruler in place as well. They're very small. See if you can see that here. They are clear, so you can see through them, but they do blur it just a bit. I'll show you what it looks like when you open it up. This is what it'll look like when you get it. And so you can kind of just peel these off and place them in the ruler wherever you think you need it to be. I kind of stretched it out a bit. I did one here on the end and another one here on this end. You can kind of put some in the middle, you know, just wherever you think it would be beneficial for you. It does add a tiny little bit of height because you have this really, it's pretty thin, so it's not too bad, but it does add a little bit of height between the ruler and the fabric itself. But it really does hold the ruler in place, so it's pretty nice that it keeps that there. Of course, then we have our templates, and I have tons and tons of templates that I use because I'm doing all kinds of other projects. So what I can say about templates that are out there, you know, I've got templates from Missouri Star. I got templates from Hobby Lobby. You see them on sale, sometimes little hexagons, you have triangles, you have mini diamonds, you have all kinds of different templates that you can use, and these are great for little projects that you're gonna make out there. You know, they really work well. I have tons of them and I use them all the time to do all kinds of different designs. A lot of them do have that 1/4 inch seam allowance with either a dotted line or a solid line for you to be able to account for that 1/4 inch seam that you're going to need in order to put things together. But it's really nice for you to make different types of projects. Sometimes you really don't need a pattern. You know, you can just take these little templates and make it your own and kind of use these to design something with. So it's really neat that you can have all these options that are out there to help you kind of put things together. I know I use a lot of my rulers, a lot of my templates all the time to just do stuff. I mean, it's just crazy. It's really, really crazy. All right, let me just do a quick scan. So again, basics for beginners, I would start with the really long ruler, and then I would have a smaller ruler to be able to do subcuts. And I kind of lost my subcutting ruler. It's buried somewhere in this big, oh, here it is. So we've got the long ruler, we've got the smaller one that'll allow you to do your subcutting and cut your strips in place. We've got smaller rulers like this that will help with doing fussy cutting, things like that, helping you get things lined up in the middle. If you have that specific little design on your fabric that you want to use, you can use these to kind of fussy cut them in place and make sure that they are nice and centered, and you can cut around it and use it for your project. Then we went into selecting the right ruler for your project. Again, we've got acrylic rulers. You've got curving rulers for when you are doing clothing. You've got specific rulers with slits on them. That's for any kind of project like a quilt or things like that. you have the 2-ruler method that you can use, whether you're right-handed or left-handed. That may sometimes help you out as well. Let's see. You can even use, let's say you don't have a lot of money to spend on a lot of rulers. You can go online and kind of download, let's say, a PDF of some type of ruler that you'd like, and then go to the dollar store and get those flexible cutting mats that they have, and just line it up and cut it. And you can use a flexible cutting mat as kind of like your ruler, right? So sometimes you don't necessarily have to go out and buy these acrylic rulers. You know, you can kind of make them your own if you want. And that may help you save some money as well. You can use the rulers for your angles. We talked about how important that is. You have your 45, your 60 degree, and your 30 degree angles. And they also have, and this is one that I've seen out there, but I haven't purchased one. Don't really find the need. But they do have folding rulers that are out there. And so if you're one that travels a lot, maybe to like different events, they do have foldable rulers that are out there, and you can get those as well. Let's see. Oh, Annette's asking, do I have a special brand that you like? Annette, I'm going to answer it this way. It's a yes and a no, right? One of the things that I kind of discovered here, Creative Grids. I love their rulers. They have fantastic rulers. They really do. And one of the things that I really liked about their rulers is, remember we were talking about the slipping around that happens? Their rulers already come with the anti-slip underneath it. And what I really love about that is it's really secure. It stays in place. It really does. Their rulers are really well made. Now, you have to kind of be careful because they don't allow a lot of people to sell their rulers. If you want to buy a true Creative Grids rulers, I would go to their website and purchase it from them. There's a lot of rulers out there that pretend to be Creative Grids, and they're really not. So you do have to be careful. Now, are their rulers pricey? Yes, they are. So I would only recommend it if you are, in fact, a true crafter that will be using it. Then you may want to invest the money on their types of rulers because they are really well made. However, if you are one that kind of just crafts every once in a while and you don't want to spend a lot of money on a ruler, then I would stick to my second favorite, which is OmniGuard. I really like the way their rulers are made. I think that, you know, the way their grid is laid out, it makes it easier for my eyes to be able to see. Now, again, this kind of depends on you, because some people, you know, have a hard time with OmniGrid because of the dashes and the little dots. But this is kind of what works for me. Some people, everyone's eyes are different. You know, sometimes people may need the solid lines. So you may want to go with something like Fiskars where they have the solid lines. That may help you. So it kind of depends what your situation is, how your eyesight is, and what it is you're trying to do and what you're going to be using the ruler for. Because if it's just a one-time thing, you may even just look in Temu and get something from there. If it's something that you're going to be using, a basic ruler, just take the time to really look at what's out there before you jump into buying one. Because the ones that are out there, people don't really notice all the pieces of the ruler itself, right? The lines, the angles, the little grids that they may have as well. So like we talked about these two, they look very similar to each other. Let me just bring these over so you can see them well. These two rulers are very similar, right? This is a 6-inch ruler. This is a 6.5-inch ruler. So it's only about a ½ inch more. They look very similar, but they're not. And you can see here, this ruler, which is only 6 inches, has a lot more angles. It's got a 45 and a 60-degree angle, where this one only has the angle from the middle. It does have that extra 1/2 inch. However, it also gives you the 3 by 3 inch grid. So if you're looking to maybe square off 3 by 3 inch squares, maybe you're working on some type of quilting project, then this may be a better choice. But if you're looking for 6 inch squaring that you're going to be doing, or you're going to be working with these angles, then this will probably be the better buy for you. But it really depends what it is you are working on. So when you're working with your project, you really have to decide which is the ruler that's going to give you the best bang, right? Which one can I use for the project that I am working on right now that's going to help me to get that accurate cut? You know, so although I have a ton of rulers out here and a ton of templates and my favorites are out there, but it really depends on the type of project that I'm working on. You know, maybe this ruler will be good for this project that I'm on right now, but for the project that I'm working on tomorrow, maybe it's going to be something else. It really depends what you need, right, for every project that you're doing. Okay, thanks for the question, Amy. Okay, I see a lot. Yeah, a lot of people, you know, it really depends. Like I said, it depends on the project and it depends what makes you comfortable, you know. And then you've got all kinds of different products that are out there that will help for it not to slip. You've got your Invisigrip, you've got your little holders here, you've got the little adhesive rings. You can also use double-sided tape underneath the ruler. If that helps, you can use that as well. You can just take a strip of double-sided tape and put it underneath the ruler to help it from slipping. So if that's something that you may have right there in your home that you can put underneath the ruler. So there's all kinds of different gadgets, all of different things that you can use that really will help you to make your project more accurate when it comes to cutting. So I think that I've touched upon all of the points that I wrote down, and that's pretty much all I wanted to share with you. And I hope that I gave you some really good tips on cutting and rulers and templates, what to look for, how to use them, how to prevent them from slipping. I hope you guys really enjoyed the material, and I really hope to see that you guys will post some of the projects that you're working on Facebook. I really like to see what you guys have going on. Thank you all for tuning in today. I really appreciate you taking the time to spend this hour with me, and I hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye, everyone.